Hello, everybody. This is Steve O'Reilly and Gail Saunders with SkinnyPost.com, getting ready for the big draft coming up in just a few days. Gail, how you doing? Great to catch up with you as always.
Living the dream, repping the Eagles right now. I'm very excited that Mr. Deshaun Jackson is back.
Yeah, looks good on you too. You fill it out nicely.
Hey, so man, the draft is here. I mean, you got to be excited. I mean, you guys already did your little off-season thing over there with the Broncos. You feeling pretty good about yourself?
Yeah, Peyton Manning obviously is in the fold. I think he brings obviously a great aspect to the team that they lacked last year as far as quarterbacking is concerned. I know a lot of fans like Tim Tebow, and for obvious reasons, he's a good guy and proven to be a winner, but I think in the long run, Elway decided to go with Manning, and I think it was the right decision. Another key acquisition for Denver that no one's really talking about is Jack Del Rio. I mean, when you get a former head coach that comes over and can focus on just one side of the ball, I look for big things from that Denver defense, and I think that's the direction they may go in the draft. A lot of the fans obviously want a defensive tackle and someone that can come in and help plug the middle right away. Linebacker, safety, wide receiver, running back, they're all definitely possibilities as well. What about your Eagles there? I see they may be making some moves. They're talking a little bit about trading up perhaps, maybe targeting some defensive tackles, some linebackers, maybe a safety. What do you think?
I think DT is a need, and I think, it's not it's a need, but it's not like, I think you can get the best player available, but I think they've fallen in love with either, Fletcher Cox. They could also go linebacker at a position with Kuechly out of BC, but or Poe. Either three I could see them definitely picking up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad at either. And the other cat I would love is Barron, man. I would love a nice little safety help.
Yeah, I think your divisional rival there, the Cowboys, and obviously they picked just before you if no one trades where they are. I think the Cowboys may take Barron. They've got their eye on him. They definitely need some help on that defensive backfield, so that he could be gone by then.
It'll be interesting. I mean, let's talk about the top draft picks. I mean, obviously, Andrew Luck going number 1.
Done deal.
Robert Griffin going number 2. He even got himself a little Subway sandwich made out of him.
He looked like Prince, didn't he?
Yeah, that was kind of scary. I don't know. He's got to get those dreads locked up soon. I don't know. It's bothering me.
What was that? They look like in the I don't even know what it is. You can't really call it a statue because it was made out of food. What did they use? Sun-dried tomatoes? Was that what that was?
That whole thing was weird.
But anyway, at number 3, the Vikings are at an interesting position. Everyone has them taking Matt Khalil, the left tackle out of USC. He's big, he's athletic, he has long arms. He looks like a sure fit. But I think some teams may be interested in trading in that position. And some of the teams that could move up potentially would be the St. Louis Rams. I think the Rams at number 6 might get nervous that the Browns could take Blackman at number 4. And if they feel that Blackman's going to be taken at 4 by Cleveland, they may jump up a few slots to ensure they get him. And then essentially the Vikings could still get their guy at 6 because the Browns aren't going to take a left tackle because they got Joe Thomas. You know that the Buccaneers aren't going to take a left tackle because they already have a very good left tackle there. And they already solidified the line in free agency. So they could still get their guy at 6 and add picks if the Rams get itchy.
Well, the other thing is the Vikings, I mean, they gotta get protection for Christian Ponder. So, I mean, even at 3, which would be a solid pick for them picking up Khalil, they can move back and still get Khalil just by blowing, right now they said there's some teams interested. But, yeah, if they can get someone to sucker somebody in to take that 3, and then after, dropping back to maybe like 6 or something, they can still get Khalil.
Yeah, and pick up picks in the meantime, absolutely. The Cleveland Browns, to me, they're an interesting and tough read at number 4. Personally, I think that they should take Trent Richardson. And the reason I think that, and I know that the fans really want to solidify the offensive line, And I also know they want a wide receiver in the worst way, like Blackman or maybe even Floyd from Notre Dame. But I really think that Richardson makes the most sense because, A, he's that good. He's probably, behind Luck, the second best player in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, that kid's a workout warrior.
Beast.
North and south kind of guy, shifty. I mean, he's all around kind of guy. I mean, if he can block like he can do the rest of everything else, well, it's going to be a solid pick, and he could change that offense.
Right, and look at what McCoy did when Peyton Hillis ran well. That's when McCoy played his best football, was when he had a running back that was churning and burning yards. When Hillis was out of the lineup and they didn't really have a true running threat, McCoy struggled a little bit. So if you can get a guy that can come in and take some of that pressure off, and look at the division. The AFC North, you got the Ravens, you got the Steelers, and the Bengals. They all have really good front sevens. So on a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, you need to keep the offense on the field. A guy like Trent Richardson will earn his weight in gold just because of the short yardage he can pick up when they have to, and near the goal line. Huge acquisition. I think you have to take him there, in my opinion.
I mean, but if you get a nice weapon in Blackman, you can't go wrong either. You need a vertical threat that could help out that receiving core. I mean, either or, you can't go wrong. I really,
they're sitting pretty. They're sitting pretty.
But there's a team sitting at number 5 who would love to get Trent Richardson. That would be the Bucks. If they could get Richardson to fall with them, that'd be awesome. But they also could pick up Morris Claiborne,
right,
and put him opposite. But aren't they trying to trade Talib?
He's got his court coming up. I don't really know what's going to happen with his off-the-field situation. I don't think the Bucks really know what's going to happen with that either. They went and got Eric Wright.
Yeah, they got Eric Wright too, so
right. But you got to remember, Rondé Barber is 55 years old now. I mean, the guy just drafted in 1946. They have to start getting younger, and if you can get a guy like Claiborne to come in,
play nickel, you can learn from the best, or he can even start right away.
Yeah, he would start right away, in my opinion. And I think that you could move Eric Wright into the nickel slot, and he would help shore up that defense. And they're still going to play a lot of cover too, I would imagine. And that's it. That's an easy read, easier transition.
So you look at Schiano coming in there. He's a guy that molded Ray Rice into what he is. And if Trent Richardson's there and Claiborne's there, he's going Richardson. I think he'd love a 3-down back, and he could be a Ray Rice clone, or even better, perhaps.
Let me ask you this. Let me throw this wild curveball at you. Ray Rice and the Baltimore Ravens are kind of in a gridlock, right? They have 2 big contracts. They have Joe Flacco and they have Ray Rice to both deal with. Let's just say, and this is a little crazy, call me crazy, I don't care.
Sounds like Crazy Talk's about to be dropped.
It is. Let's just say that Schiano wants Ray Rice back. And he wants him down in Tampa Bay. So he trades with the Ravens for the number 5 pick, gets Ray Rice, and the Ravens then take Trent Richardson and don't have to deal with the contract situation. Let's say Richardson falls to 5. Ray Rice goes back to his old college coach. The Buccaneers get the running back that they probably want because he's very familiar with them. They don't have to deal with the contract issue because he's ready to renegotiate anyway. And then the Ravens go get the best running back available in the draft, and they don't have to deal with the contract situation that Ray Rice brings to the table.
And there will be evil that will break loose in Baltimore.
It'd be rioting.
If they trade Ray Rice.
But it could happen. I mean, from what I've heard around the league, from sources that I know in the league, Ray Rice wants big time money, like Adrian Peterson.
Paid, and it's you can see the format everyone's trying to run with. Run your running back to death for 3 years. Run him to his wheels fall off. Trade him.
Yeah.
Put him in the bathroom. Get him out of here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, you're right. Speaking of running backs, what if the Bears trade Forte on draft day?
To the Patriots? I don't know.
Be interesting. I think you're going to see a lot of trades this year.
Yeah, it's this draft is pretty tough to call this year. I mean, there's like people were saying the talent's kind of spread out. Teams want to trade down, and there's a lot of teams blowing smoke. And some of these players that are the troubled players. I can guarantee you that some of these teams that want these players are trying to pump up these, drop little gems of like, oh, he's got issues. He's got this many kids. He's smoking the ganja. People they want these players. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
If they can get them at the top of the second, middle of the second, that's what they're going for.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And just like you said, I think there's going to be more trading up in the top half of the draft this year than we've seen before because there's slotted draft money. Players, coaches, and teams and owners don't have to worry about the 3 and 4th pick holding out because they want $40 million guaranteed and they want this and that. You won't see that anymore. You know what the guys are going to make. So you know what they're going to cost before you have to trade into the position. Now, the league hasn't come out with what the slotted money is yet, but you know it's slotted. So you know that the 4th pick is going to be less than or more than the 5th pick, but it's going to be less than the 3rd pick. So you're going to see teams feeling a little bit more comfortable, in my opinion, to move up into the draft to say, well, hey, if we can get a stud cornerback or a stud defensive tackle, at number 6 or number 7, and we don't have to worry about a long holdout, we don't have to worry about all those things, they may be more apt to do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of trades, especially in the top 15, because this draft, even though it is sporadic with talent, it's still loaded with offensive linemen and defensive tackles. In my experience, that's what goes fast. Big men that can move. If you look at the recent draft history, this is a passing league. So teams want quarterbacks that can throw the ball, left tackles that can protect the passer, and they want defensive ends that can get after the passer, and they want cornerbacks and safeties that can protect the pass, that can defend the pass.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see a run on that. And there's so many defensive tackles this year across the board. You got Worthy from Michigan State. Cox, as you said. Still. You got the kid from Connecticut. You got Poe. There's just so many of them. There's 5, 6, 7 defensive tackles that are all kind of close to what they can do. You got the kid from LSU, Brockers. There's just a ton of big guys this year. So I think you will see teams that want a defensive tackle may trade down a little bit, knowing they can still get a good defensive tackle later in round 1, later in round 2, because there's a plethora of them. So teams that want a solid wide receiver, for example, there's only 2 or 3 key impact guys. I mean, Kendall Wright, he may go late round 1. And then you got Stephen Hill, Austin Jeffries. There's a bunch of guys, Randall.
Floyd, can't forget Floyd, man.
Yeah, he's in the top 3, though. I'm talking about guys that may be second rounders that you can come in and get. If you're targeting a guy and you want to stockpile picks, like the Jaguars. Look at Jacksonville. They need wide receiver help. And you think that they need to go ahead and grab the best one at number 8 or 9 or wherever they pick?
They need some help at receiver.
They need some help everywhere. They need the offensive line help. They need defensive line help. They need a lot of help.
They need HBO Hard Knocks help.
they could use Dr. Phil's help.
Give them some shine on. They really need something. And receivers, a good. You got to give Gabbert a weapon. Honestly,
you do, but you also got to keep him upright. And this draft is loaded with offensive linemen. Riley Reef, you got DeCastro, you've got Khalil, as we mentioned. You got Adams in Ohio State. There's just a plethora of guys that can come in and play right away.
I think the interesting topic of Tannehill, it's weird how he just shot up the draft. Like it's almost like once Matt Flynn was off the board, free agency, and Tannehill started out of nowhere, just started steaming up the board. Yeah. And now, like with the potential of him going in the top 10, like it's interesting, man. It's like
I wouldn't do it. And
the guy, like he showed some promise. But the guy he's only been a quarterback for 2 years. Exactly. Remember when Matt Jones came out?
Yeah,
Arkansas.
They moved into wide receiver.
He was a quarterback, and everyone's like, yeah. That dude shot up the draft. He ran a fast 40 time. All of a sudden, he shot up the draft so fast. And who picked him up?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, and you know what happened to that. But shout out to Matt Jones though, because I remember the Eagles were like started talking about him in that draft, and I was like, who is Matt Jones?
Yeah.
But anyway.
But no, I mean, it brings up a good point, though, because the Dolphins, their owners come out and said that he wants Tannehill. Stephen Ross has said that Tannehill is the guy he wants, and usually when an owner makes a statement, his employees listen. The general managers, the coaches, everybody pays attention. Now, whether they listen to what he says, to the final word, we don't know yet. But in my opinion, I would not take Tannehill at number 8 if I'm the Dolphins. If you want Tannehill, trade down and try to get him later. But the Dolphins need to address a pass rusher. Any way you look at it. You're in a division where you face Tom Brady twice a year. You face the pass-happy Buffalo Bills, who have bolstered their passing game in recent offseason, plus their defense with Super Mario. So, you've got to be able to get after the quarterback. They're switching to a 4-3. You got Cameron Wake going to defensive end, and he is going to hold out, reportedly.
Yeah, he wants his money, so.
Right. They let go of Langston. Jason Taylor's gone. They let go of Jeremiah Bell at safety. They traded Brandon Marshall. Now, they kept Paul Solier, the defensive tackle, and that's a smart move. But who's the pass rusher? Who's getting? I mean, you got a great young corners, and everybody says, "Oh, the Dolphins' corners stink." They don't. Vontae Davis.
They got rid of their safeties now. They got a hole at the safety position.
Well, they brought in Marshall, a guy who can play either corner or safety, but he's not, a Pro Bowl caliber guy. But you're right, and it doesn't matter who you have. If you got Tom Brady sitting back there for 6 or 7 seconds with no real rush, you're going to get picked apart. You're not going to cover Gronkowski and Hernandez and Welker for that long. You're not going to cover Holmes and all the other guys and Plaxico and Stevie Why So Serious Johnson and all the other talented receivers in this league. You have to get after the quarterback. So, my opinion, the Dolphins should get a stud defensive end or defensive tackle end, like a Fletcher Cox or like a Quentin Coples or somebody who can get after the passer. Okay, and then next year, worry about a quarterback. Because Matt Moore, let's be honest, he didn't have an offseason, first of all, because there was a lockout last year. And then when he did get to practice, he didn't work with the number ones because Chad Henne did. So he really didn't get an opportunity to come in and flourish. And when he did play, he won 6 out of 9 games. What more do you want? Give the kid a chance to get his feet planted, but what are his weapons? Devon Bess. They got rid of Marshall. You got Bess and Hartline right now. So they need to trade down. If they want Tannehill, which is fine, just don't take him at 8. Call the Eagles and say, hey, Mark Barron's probably going to go 14 to the Cowboys. If you want him, take him right now at 8. We'll take your 15th pick. And then you kind of play the board. If you feel like the Bills at 10 are going to take Tannehill, maybe you jump back up to 9. Trade with the Jaguars. Do those things. But I just think it's too early to take a guy who may not even start. He might not beat out David Garrard.
Well, the funny thing is his offensive coordinator's there, Mike Sherman.
True. So he knows what he's getting with him.
So if they're really gonna take a gamble at QB, and I guess he'd be the gamble, but I don't know. It's just way too high for me. I spent like 3 hours watching Tannehill footage on a random Saturday. He's got some talent. He's an athlete, and he knows he used to play receiver, so it's a weird dynamic when you have a quarterback that played receiver. But I don't know.
But here's the biggest point I'm trying to make, Gil. Look at Christian Ponder last year for the Vikings. What did they really do by taking him? They handcuffed themselves from taking a better quarterback this year.
Right.
If that number 3, they wanted to move up one spot to take Robert Griffin III, they could have. They only move up one slot, but now they can't because they already got a first-round quarterback. They've handcuffed themselves to Ponder because they reached. Look at the Jags, Jacksonville, Gabbert. They reached.
Jacksonville reached.
And now they're still in the top
when you
10.
got a guy like Barker coming out next season.
Exactly. Look to next year. See what's coming on. And
that dude, he would have been top 3.
Right.
Or top 2.
And if you do want to bring in a quarterback, why not go get Weeden? Brandon Weeden throws the ball beautifully, in my opinion. He's great on the intermediate throws. He's 29. He's 29 years old, but let's be honest. Look at your...
Yeah, I would get him in some later rounds. Yeah.
Round 2, maybe, or whatever, but let's be honest. Look at teams' rosters from year to year. It's not like it used to be. You're not facing the same 22 guys on offense and defense every year. The Broncos roster doesn't look like anything it does this year than it did last year, and it didn't look anything like it did last year than it did the year before that. In 2008, they had Jay Cutler. In 2009, they had goofy Kyle Orton. In 2010, they had Tim Tebow, and you know what I mean? It's every year it changes. Unless you've got a Tom Brady or, you know, a Mike Vick type guy or a Drew Brees, which the Dolphins aren't. They're not going to get that. They're not getting that with Tannehill. So if you're going to get a guy to wait on a guy, I just would go in a different direction. Get a stud. Get someone who's a surefire at number 8, and then worry about a quarterback later. Easier said than done, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, I really think this draft has been one of the more and more I look at it, I can't call it. There's so many interchangeable parts. If this could happen, another team's going to go this way. If this guy gets traded, when it's so cloudy, like usually when you see it, you know, you're looking at a draft, and like the normal drafts from 1 to 6, 7, 8 actually go as planned. But this year it's kind of up in the air. I don't know.
I agree. It's going to be very hard to tell.
If something happens in the top 3, it's going to send everybody's board into complete terror.
Yeah, it'll be a whirlwind for sure. And that's the thing. You don't know what's going to happen. That's why you just got to wait and see. Thursday night, we'll have a much clearer picture.
What I'm waiting to see is where some of these, big names that are on teams that are on the bubble right now. That's the funnest thing. When you're not the funnest thing. It can't be fun for a player who's been with the team for a long time, and next thing you know, he's watching the draft, eating some chicken wings, and all of a sudden he's on the Jaguars.
Draft day trade.
He's like ready to get a ring, and next thing you know, he's on some team that, that kind of sucks. But that's the interesting thing watching the draft. You don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, you got to stay glued, and it's prime time on Thursday.
Yeah, and it will happen. You are going to see some players get traded on draft day. You will. You'll see maybe, like we said, a Matt Forte type player, or you don't even know who. That's the thing. It just kind of blindsides you. Some teams looking at somebody and, all of a sudden an opportunity comes along and they say, okay, we like this guy a lot. We're just going to jump on it.
It's gonna be exciting stuff. So, last call here. You're the GM of the Broncos. Your pick.
And is there a trade involved, or am I staying where I am?
This is your pick
at 25.
If you were calling shots, the move that you make. Go ahead.
It's so hard to say because I don't know what happened in front of me.
If you were in control right now, I want to hear what you would do with the Broncos pick.
Well, I would explore options to trade up. I would look to see who I can get to add weapons to the offense to help Manning. And I know that everybody wants defense, but like I had said, I think it's a deep defensive tackle draft, so I could probably get a good tackle in round 2. Like the guy from Connecticut, for example, or hopefully a guy like Worthy falls. So I would keep my eye on that. But the Broncos have so many holes to fill. They could really go in a ton of different directions, and they would all be good calls. They could go for a cornerback. They could get a safety. They could get a middle linebacker. They could get a defensive tackle. They could get a wide receiver. Personally, I want a running back.
Okay.
I would be looking if I can't trade up. I would love to move all the way up.
What'd you say?
If I could, and it won't, I know I couldn't, but I would definitely try to get my hands on Trent Richardson somehow. And I know that it won't happen, but my argument is this. You've got 4 to 5 year shelf life right now of Peyton Manning. That's all you got. Let's be realistic. He's 36 years old. He's not going to be elite at 40 coming off all those neck injuries. And after every year, he's probably going to get more and more sore and closer to retirement. So with a short window, you might as well put all your chips on the table and go all in on the poker table right now. And if you can make a deal for him, or if he falls even a little bit, and there's an opportunity, I would not have a problem with Denver giving up next year's draft picks in 2013 because I don't need them. I've already got a veteran-laden team with a veteran quarterback. I've got my stud running back. I've already got young wide receivers. I've got, 2 tight ends that I just brought in Dreesen and Tammy. So I'm set. I could use some help on defense, but I can shore that up later and hopefully next year in free agency, get veterans. If I stay at 25 and I don't like any of the defensive tackles that are on the board, I would really love Donta Hightower. Donta Hightower would be a thumper in the middle next to DJ Williams, and Von Miller in that 4-3 would be fast, athletic, hard-hitting linebackers. It would really help that defense in Del Rio. If no good linebackers there for Hightower and I still want to wait on a DT, I'm going for Lamar Miller, the running back out of Miami. 4-4 guy, faster than fast, home run hitter that Denver doesn't have on their roster.
You've done and gave me a lot of picks there, guy.
Well, there's just too many scenarios to happen.
There's only one. The move that you're making is Trent Richardson, right?
No, it's not going to happen. You can't move from 25 to 3 without.
Right. Who is the one guy that you're getting in?
If they don't move, I want Donta Hightower, the linebacker from Alabama.
Right.
If he's there, if he's not there, Jarrell Worthy will be the pick. And if he's not there, Lamar Miller's the pick.
Oh, this guy, come on.
Well, it's hard. 25. There's 24 picks before you. How do you know who's going to be there?
One guy. So it's Hightower. Hightower it is.
Hightower it is for me. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
260 pounds of just thumper.
All right.
Al Wilson reincarnated.
Okay. So the Eagles, my pick. Eagles Nation. I know you hate the word nation.
Everybody uses it.
Eagles Nest.
There you go.
At number 15, if they don't have to move up, and they're going to stay at number 15, you can't go wrong with Luke Kuechly. I believe it's Kuechly.
It is Kuechly. He'll be gone.
Well, I'm just saying, if he's there, he'd be the perfect pick in the sense that you just brought in DeMeco Ryans. Last year, as a whole, the Eagles' linebacking core was a little upside down. You had DeMeco Ryans, who is going to instill leadership, get that whole core solid, get that defense structured. You bring in a guy like Kuechly, who can learn from one of the best. He can play on the next to him, and when DeMeco Ryans, time comes, you move Kuechly right in. That would be a perfect scenario for me. If he's not there, I'm going to go on a Riley rant here. If he's not there, Fletcher Cox would be nice.
He definitely won't be there.
I'm just saying. Well, you could always move up. If some of these guys drop, whatever. Like,
see what I mean? It's hard to say, isn't it? Because you don't know what's going to happen.
But I'm giving you options here now. But Kuechly's my guy if he's my guy.
What about Courtney Upshaw? What about Hightower? Nice middle linebacker. 260 pounds of thumper.
I'm not looking for that.
What about Mark Barron?
Look for leadership, sound tackler, high motor. Kuechly was one of the fastest linebackers to do it. That's what I'm looking for. And then
you want your Sean Lee.
What's that?
You want an Eagles version of Sean Lee.
Yeah, well, they should have got him a couple years ago, but
I know you.
Mark Barron is my other guy.
Can't go wrong there.
Safety depth can't go wrong.
All right, now all those guys you mentioned are all likely going to be off the board at 15. To be honest.
Well, we can always move on.
But if you don't, you stay put at 15. They're all gone. What you go Dontari Poe?
Yeah.
Michael Brockers. You like Poe better than Brockers?
I don't know about LSU D tackles.
Yeah, but did you ever see? Go on YouTube, and you at home, go on YouTube and look at Dontari Poe's highlights. You won't find any. All you'll see is 85% of YouTube footage and 2 plays at Memphis. Just saying. Watch out for them combine kids.
I heard they're high on them, so I don't know.
There's a lot of good D tackles. There's a lot of good D tackles this year. There sure is.
Exciting.
It will
be.
Yep. You guys need somebody in the middle though, so you can play with your wide 9.
Well, I mean, they signed Dixon and they already signed Landry, so you have some talent. talent and you have some depth. So you get the best available player. So
there it is.
Oop, there it is, guy.
All right. Well, this is our draft update for Skinny Post TV. And we hope everyone enjoys the draft. We'll definitely catch up to everybody after the draft and recap everything that we saw and all the big transactions. Until then, make sure the Saints aren't listening on your phone calls, everybody, and have a great night. For SkinnyPost.com, I'm Steve O'Reilly. That's Gail Saunders, and we're giving you the Skinny 24/7.
Low blow.